Shama. Welcome, everyone, to episode 30 of the Pinnacle Combat Sports Podcast. I'm Jim, and Dan, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, dude. We should start a segment called Shama or Shama, and then we'll do something just for this episode. Dude, he's so awesome when he does that. I think it's so funny. Like, who's been a bigger star by saying so
little,
barely anything?
Yeah,
so little. Exactly. That's kind of the word I probably should have used. But no, he's just, dude. He's something else, man.
All right, before we get into UFC 307, which is tonight, which we're so pumped about, we just spent the last, 20, 30 minutes coming up with some cool parlays for us later. I wanted to mention to you at least one announcement that I heard that I'm really excited about, and that is an addition to the UFC 309 card at Madison Square Garden in New York. Carlos Pratis against Rude Boy Randy Brown.
It's a great fight. And that you figure when we talk about what fight is that type of fight, when you see the fight card, you go, that's the one to start the main card. For me, that's the card that should start the main card.
Yeah. That'd be a great fight to start it off. And that I don't know what they're going to do, because that fight card's already stacked.
Yes. Yeah, let me look at it real quick. Actually, so what date is that?
I think I have it pulled up, don't I? No, I don't. Oh, actually, I do. John Jones Stipe, Chandler Oliveira, Paul Craig, Bo Nickel, Randy Brown, Carlos Pratis, Eric Anders, Chris Weidman, Karine Silva, Veronica Hardy, Jonathan Martinez and Marcus McGee, Mickey Gall and Braham. How do you say that?
Ramis Brahami. I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, and then Oban Elliott.
Rahima. But either way, great card. You figure what? Let's see, Weidman, Anders. I could see that being your main event of the prelims. And then, I think you slapped that fight right before Araujo and Silva. You want Bo Nickel there. He's probably going to be the third fight. I like. Yeah, that card looks great.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the top two? Jesus.
Oh, and the other thing I was going to bring up too, I mean, we could talk about Pratis for a little bit, but the Fighting Nerds, Rufy was supposed to fight tonight, and I don't think I never saw an opponent for him. I don't know what's going on with that, but
I bet you he's having a hard time finding fights.
Really?
Because he's in that weird spot where he's not like ranked, but people know exactly who he is. I don't think there's a lot of fighters that probably want to take that fight. That's not a lot of good that can come from it.
Huh.
In my opinion, I just think it's one of the, they don't mention that, but I think that seems like one of the guys that's having trouble finding fights. But it literally could be nothing other than, oh, this guy signed, but he got hurt. That guy signed, he got hurt. That's all. It's just a tough game. People get hurt a lot. It's fights. So I'm just being, that's probably more so me just projecting because of how much I like him. But either way, you got to get that dude a fight. I can't wait to see who it is.
Yeah, because he hasn't fought since 301.
Yeah. So it's been a little bit, and it could have been on his end too. But you kind of want to ride that momentum, especially the momentum his gym has. Like Pratis,
exactly.
That's a guy who is riding momentum too, big time. It's not easy to stop the leech, but by knocking him out like that, he looked so good in that last fight. It'll be interesting to see who he gets, but that's just speculation on my part.
Yeah.
But
because I was looking forward to seeing him fight tonight, and I was like, I don't know, it was kind of fun because I didn't know who he was going to fight, and I was like, maybe last minute they'll throw something up there, and I guess it just didn't work out. So, but we'll see him soon, I hope.
There's probably something big coming, but hopefully he gets a big fight because I really think he belongs, and I don't know how old he is. I think he's still under the age of 30, so kind of like when you see fighters peaking right around that age.
Yeah,
you say he's like 28. I'm like, oh, I like that. Like that's when they're right when you get to early 30s. I feel like that's what your best years as an MMA fighter. But definitely high on him. But Pratis and Randy Brown's going to be.
That's going to be
I love that
crazy.
matchup. That's great matchmaking there. How do you see that right away? You like Pratis as much as
Yeah, no, I love Pratis.
I do? Yeah. Okay. Nothing against Randy Brown.
Yeah, no, Rude Boy's awesome to watch too. I just think Pratis is more well-rounded and more of a force. Like you were saying, he sets the pace for where the fight's going to go, and I don't know. I really want to see him. I think he's going to submit him. Personally,
I could see that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could see him hurting him with something and then submitting him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's my favorite thing about Pratis is just like everything's on his time. He's gonna tell you how this fight's going this way. And I like fighters that do that. They completely dictate most of the fight, which then just gets. You figure you have a game plan for someone, and they're dictating everything. You just have to throw everything out the window. And I think that's what happens with a guy like that, because you think it's going to be. That's what I see. Maybe Randy Brown could struggle. He kind of likes a fight to be kind of clean, get in there get a jab going nice, and saw long shots. I just don't think Pratis is going to want to play that game. He's just going to be in his face, pressing him, and he's not. I don't think he's going to be comfortable. He'll be on a back foot a lot, or you never know. But I can see it going that way. I can see elbows being in the factor because he's long too. So once he gets in range, that might be the sleeper fight of that night, because with Chandler and Oliveira and John Jones and Stipe, it's hard to say those fights you're not most excited about, but that one might take it for me on that card, early on.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
You know what I'm looking at?
Well, let's get to tonight's card. Let's start, as we always do, with the main event. Alex Pereira, Khalil Roundtree, light heavyweight championship. They say they're not going to go take anyone down. It's going to be a slugfest. What do you think? You think anyone's going to go for a takedown?
Maybe if someone's hurt, but I doubt it. I would think it's only going to be instinctual, just because you're. I don't know, guys that size too. I don't know if there's an opportunity for you to even get a takedown with the way I could just see this fight being
short,
completely in a striking range, and both are kind of disagreeing on that.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to go to? All right, over under. What do you think? You think it's going to be less than 2.5? Yeah, 2.5.
I don't know what it is, but I would take the under. I just feel like if Pereira's I think if he's gonna get him, it's gonna be in the first 2 rounds. Otherwise, it might just be. It could be a. Do you see it being? Could you see a decision?
No,
I can't.
No,
I can't see it. I can't see it right now. Which it's hard for me to talk like, well, if he doesn't do it in this and that, but I kind of like to tend to lean to this maybe being a first round kind of deal with these two.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier about, because we were going over bets and stuff like that. You mentioned earlier, you were talking about Khalil Roundtree and how you put a little bit of money on him to win KO in the first round, and you explained why. And I think it'd be good to talk about that here, because you were talking about other fighters in the light heavyweight division. I don't know if you could explain what you said to me earlier. Yeah.
Well, the reason I think Roundtree might be your best candidate is because I originally thought it was going to be Jamal Hill, and then you saw how that fight went down. It's not to say Jamal Hill can't beat him in the rematch. I just feel like the way it went down doesn't bode well for a fighter who's. I'm not saying he hasn't accepted the loss, but at some point I think you have to put it in the past. I don't know if he's really done that. I think it's still going to be personal. I just don't know if you beat a seasoned striker like that with extra tension and feeling behind it. I just don't know if we'll see that. I originally thought he was the guy, but now watching, I feel like Khalil Roundtree might be the perfect combination of power and speed. Like I was saying, I think he might be able to get it done. And the only reason why I took first round is because the other rounds were growing at odds, but then you're really getting into the weeds. But just a regular stoppage by him, I didn't really like the payout. It wasn't that much, so it's you kind of want to go for a shot. So that was my shot of the card for it. And I think we did 2 good parlays too. Do you have that? let me skip my phone
No,
just
I'm
so we
on.
have it.
Yeah, I'm on Do Not Disturb, but you can bring them up.
Oh, I got
I think they're the best parlays we've ever done so far. So I'm looking forward to some
that.
shekels, baby.
That's big odds, dude.
Some cheddar.
Remember that time we took a bet on Masvidal to win by KO in under 10 seconds against Askren? Remember we did that? Remember we did it? Like I like him in under 10 seconds in this one.
Oh shit! Imagine if they gave you
That'd
that
be
option.
awesome. I'll throw a small 100 on that and then just win hundreds of thousands or whatever. Let's see. So we got Holland by that was the one that I think that brings that up because it was plus 700. I like that risk one. We got Holland by the submission, Alexander Hernandez money line, and Cesar Almeida by KO. That's a decent payout. And then we got Ryan Spann by KO, our boy Aldo by decision, and Pena by decision. I like that one too.
So do I.
Like you said, dude. So you figure if we win both of those bets, we'll each have put down $10, and we'll roughly each win over $200. So that's good.
Beautiful. I like it.
Small. That's what I like, Jim. Small money in to win big money.
Yeah.
Or
And
like
then we can enjoy
terms of the betting.
ourselves in Vegas. There you go.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, then I don't have to risk like my mortgage. Remember we were talking. I don't want to put
I
too
don't want
much
you to
down.
have to do that.
The wife, the kids won't be bad, but the wife will be quite upset. So I want to avoid that.
Let's get back to this 307 card though. So did you want to add anything about Pereira Roundtree, or should we move on to the? Because I mean, everyone kind of knows what to expect with Pereira at this point. I think.
I would just add that it was just a bet for me, and if I'm truly picking, I'm picking Pereira. It was just one of those ones where you're like, oh, plus 1,400.
Yeah.
The win by knockout round one. I think that's his only realistic shot in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to kind of land early when you're at your best and just hope something significant lands. Other than that, I'm not saying that's how he's thinking. He truly thinks he's gonna win. So I'm just saying how I'm thinking, like with betting. But he truly looks like he thinks he's got a secret, and I don't know. Pereira's just so big. When they first faced off at the press conference, I was like, Jesus, man, he's just like you could see how he has some type of a Tyson effect with the way he's very intimidating.
For sure.
Whether people admit it or not. Like obviously it's different with fighters because they're different people. But as far as the common man like you and me, we watch a guy like Pereira and like that guy's like he looks like a superhero.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially wearing the all leopard, Jim. Wasn't that pretty sick?
I loved his fit, man, for that press conference. And you see, he talked to Oliveira, and Oliveira hooked him up with his medallion, custom medallion maker, and he got the Powhatan thing made up. Do you see that?
That's sick. I didn't see that, but I love that.
Yeah,
I love when two superheroes join.
It was on the embedded. He got like a nice gold chain, and he got a medallion that says Powhatan with like arrows through it. And then he got awesome UFC belt bracelet that he got made. He was looking good. He had Prada shoes on. Dang, he's living it up now. I like it.
And you can see it's cool. As much as a big rivalry they had, Adesanya was pretty complimentary of him in the podcast with Rogan recently, huh? Like he was pretty cool talking about.
Yeah.
Like it's even though they had their history.
Well, I feel like, and I think this happens a lot, especially with legendary fighters who have been in the game for a long time. They actually they have this weird, when they have like a rivalry like they had, there's almost like a kinship there. You know what I mean? Like the same thing with DC and John Jones. Even though there's so much hate there, I bet there's so much respect there as well. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
To be at that level at the right time, at the same time, and then just go head to head, like, how many times 5 times that they fight? Pereira and Adesanya?
Jones?
Adesanya and Pereira?
Oh, I'm sorry. Adesanya Pereira. 4 times, right?
4 or 5 times, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Pereira knocked him out twice. Adesanya knocked him out twice. In that first fight, a lot of people think Adesanya won by decision.
Yeah.
But they gave it to Pereira,
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of history and a lot of, I don't know, I feel like in a way, I bet they feel like they're kind of like brothers from like, yeah, you know what I mean? Just like, just their, how much time they spent thinking about each other and how
Sure.
they, you know, what they're going to get into and how difficult the fight's going to be, because they're like, they were both pushing each other in terms of talent and, you know, and all that. They were like, I don't know, they're just good partners, and they both made each other better and brought each other up. So, I don't know. I just think that fighters, when they do stuff like that, they create this kinship between each other, and it's kind of cool to see that later on. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of cool.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Yeah, no. I mean, you figure either way, in some amount, like one can't exist without the other because you need the other for you need the other side for their rivalry. Even though it may be a B side, you still need the B side to have the rivalry. Otherwise, you're just fighting who,
Yeah, and they know
you
that,
know?
and that's cool.
Yeah. So you still got to give that respect at the end of the day, which is nice. That's one of the best things about MMA. You figure a lot of sports, you figure you don't see a lot of that, and that's why it sticks out so much. MMA, like how quickly do you turn, even if you're rooting for someone that you don't know that well, and like the way they act leading up to the fight. Like if the perfect example, I saw that clip of what was her name, Amanda Cooper, when she fought Mackenzie Dern, and Mackenzie Dern just was trying to shake her hand throughout the whole thing. I think it was like 3 or 4 times she wouldn't,
Yeah,
3 or 4 times straight, and then she ended up getting whooped pretty good. So it's one of those ones instantly you just go, oh, I want her to win so bad, just because of the way they're acting. I hate when like you see those clips of like the smaller organizations where the guy like pushes a guy or he does something like just completely like
yeah,
weird and over the top, like there's nothing that happened, and all of a sudden you just do it. It's almost like you're just trying to just create something out of nothing. And then I always root for them to get their ass kicked. It's always fun when it
yeah.
happens. But
And that's funny that you say that. Like, that's why this sport is unlike any other sports. Like me and you both love basketball, and I'm just
yeah,
thinking of like, I don't know, like the game of basketball has changed so much in the last 20, 30 years that like, I don't know, you get like a lot of players that are just like salty, and I don't know, they're
there's a
just,
lot of
yeah, there's no
yeah,
respect there anymore. They're all just friends kind of hanging out playing pickup games. But here it's like Khalil and Alex tonight are going into the cage ready to die.
yep.
And I think just that as a baseline is enough for respect from both fighters. And they usually do, you know, there might be some animosity behind the screens and all that, behind the scenes. But when they get in there, they know, hey, you're here to die just like me. So I respect that. And they usually work it out in the end. It's very rare you see two fighters that hate each other after the fight.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love to see it. So
But let's
very
move
much
on.
looking forward to it.
Speaking of animosity, we have the co-main event. We have the former bantamweight champion Juliana Pena, who beat Nunez, against the current bantamweight champion Raquel Pennington. How do you? First of all, did you see what Harrison said to Pena at the press
No,
conference?
no, what'd you say?
I have it pulled up here because I thought it was awesome. She goes, so Harrison said, you started your career in 2009 and you're 10-5. I started in 2018 and I'm 17-1. Oh,
Jesus.
shit. But I don't
She's
want to, that's not to like, that was just something I saw that I thought was pretty
she can
crazy.
say that.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're 17-1, you can say that. So,
Yeah.
um,
And she's setting up, well, they're trying to set up for a big fight after this one. If Pena's got something tough in front of her, though. Pennington's no joke. But
she's not
how do you see this
no
going?
joke at all. Yeah. She's no joke at all. But I do, for the sake of the next fight, I kind of want it to be Juliana Pena. I just think it's a tougher matchup for Harrison. I don't think Harrison's going to have trouble with Pennington because Pennington's just super durable and tough. But I just think technically Harrison's better everywhere. Where we don't know yet about her and Pena. I think so.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Pena win for that reason alone. With that said, I just think she'll be quicker. I just think she'll be just quicker to everything. Pennington's very durable, so that's what you worry about. Like if she can walk down Pena and Pena can't like get the fight where she wants it, hardly ever. That's when you start to see like a fighter start to have real issues with the durability of someone, where they don't respect really anything you're doing because nothing's super effective. So they just get. That's what make. I think that's when she's dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you would see that if she fought Kayla Harrison. You could see that tonight. So that's the only thing I worry about. Other than that, I see Pena just being a step ahead for the most part. Her jab's really good. I think she could just win the fight just by being quicker to every exchange, quicker to every sequence, grappling. I think she's really good, Pena. So
Yeah.
especially when she's on, she's tough to deal with. You saw that with Amanda Nunes. She really made Amanda Nunes quit in that fight. You don't know where her head was at, but she really took that. So that was, you figure she could do that to anybody then if she did to Amanda Nunes. So
Yeah, if she can utilize her jab like she did in that fight,
yeah,
then
that was money, huh?
yeah, that's.
But,
I mean,
how do you see? How do you see that one?
I mean, I think Pena's gonna. I think she's gonna play the same kind of fight that she did against Nunez. I think if she utilizes her jab, keeps Pennington at a good distance, then she controls where the fight goes, and I think that's a win for Pena. But yeah, Pennington's just really tough. I don't think she's gonna put her out. Sorry. So yeah, I think it's just gonna be. I don't know, what would Pennington have to do? Close the distance, I think. That's pretty much it. But then Pena's a good wrestler, so it's kind of like that's a risk
I would just
too. Like I don't know.
if I was her, since it's a 5 round fight, if I was in her corner, Pennington, saying like, if you're gonna take any takedown, I would just want like you just have to. All right, I'm conceding a couple of these, but I'm gonna do damage on the way down and when I'm down there. It's all about damage because then it all compounds together. So in the 4th and 5th round, if it goes that long, an elbow to her temple, it's knotted up from a takedown, or you landed one elbow when you were on the ground in the second takedown. Just you need those to stack up. I think that's what Pennington has to do. Just super aggressive, and even if you might concede a couple takedowns, you're very aggressive with your offense.
Yeah,
And I think that's how she wins.
I think volume. Yeah, volume is everything in this fight for her. Pressure and volume, but also being able to get out of things because Pena's slick.
She is, yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Pena's
see how that
just.
One goes.
I don't know. I think she's got it. I think she's the smarter fighter. But you never know. It's Salt Lake City. We've seen crazy things happen. So
Seriously, and there's a lot riding on this, huh? Because it's like it dates back all the way to when they were in like an early years Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah,
Not
Ultimate
like super
Fighter.
early, but
yeah,
pretty early on, man. Like they've been around a long time, both of them, and they have a lot of history with that, where they were like bunking.
Yep.
They just didn't get along after a while, and
that's why I said.
like
Speaking of animosity,
they just had a weird. Oh yeah, dude. No, they really. It's like a.
Yeah.
But that one's kind of a good animosity because they're not making it over the top and getting physical and it's just a tension that you kind of like going into those type of fights. I think that's going to be a very good fight, one of the better ones of the night.
Well, what do you think about this next one? I think this one has fight of the night written all over it. Obviously, the legend Jose Aldo and Mario Bautista, a number 11 against a number 10. This is huge for the bantamweight division, considering how fast things happen in that weight class. You never know. But Jose Aldo, I can't not root for Jose Aldo. I can't.
Same. And Bautista's really tough. He hits hard. He's a big dude. But I think primarily what he's trying to do is he does like to get the fight to the ground and win by submission. He has quite a bit of submission wins. And Aldo's just not the guy that's easy to get down and submit. He only has one submission loss on his record. He doesn't go for submissions, but back in his day, especially in WEC, first of all, that dude was impossible to take down. Impossible.
Yeah.
With the way he would snap his leg kick and his takedown defense in general, you definitely couldn't keep him there. But that's what was so crazy about his time in UFC, in WEC rather, because he only had, like I said, one submission in 2005. loss. That's it. So
Huh.
I think if he talk about someone with a jab, his box has got so much better with the time he took off to box,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
which people didn't really know, but he was beating dudes up in boxing. Like it wasn't huge names, but he was still fighting professional boxers and being really successful. Like you
Unlike
said, I
someone
love
else we
rooting
know.
for him. Yeah, right. That's kind of what I was getting at, but it's just disappointing overall. But yeah, no, it's like someone who's took no shortcuts, and he's just been in top fighting top competition forever. And now that's why I kind of like him tonight again, Jim. He just I was worried about him against Jonathan Martinez because that's a dude that I was really high on. It's a dangerous fight, and he looked great, especially with his striking. And what does he have? One loss to Marab in his last five. That's it. Um,
Who?
Kind of like this rejuvenated Aldo.
Oh,
Aldo,
Aldo?
yeah, he lost to Marab in 2022 before he took a breakout. I think came back and looked great against Jonathan Martinez. So
Yeah.
I kind of like what we've seen. So I like him by decision. I could see him winning it, like every round in a competitive fight. But he just controls. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I
I like
agree.
Aldo by decision.
But
Um,
there's gonna be a lot of volume in that. Both guys are gonna go for it.
a
You
lot of
know.
risk there for both. Yeah, it really is. Um,
So how much? So this is Aldo's last hurrah. It's got to be. He's 38 years old. How much time do you think he has left? How many fights do you think he has left in him? And if he wins, um, how many fights till he gets a shot? You think?
I mean, I think definitely has like 3 to 5 fights in him, as long as most of those fights go well. But if that's just one of those things where if he wins a couple and then he fights one of those ranked guys that's just a little too young, hungry, and it's like a bad loss, you never know. Then it could go south from there. But he just doesn't look like he puts himself in position to be a punching bag like we've seen some older like legends.
Yep, for
He's
sure.
not there yet, for sure. He's got plenty of fight.
And he hasn't lost a lot either. If
No,
anything, he's gained a lot of experience and, like you said, the boxing and the time he took off. But also, like, he hasn't slowed down. I think he's maybe a little slower, but not. He's still at a champion level speed.
yeah, because you figure these 5 fights it does date back to late 2020, but his last 5 fights he beat Cheeto Vera, Pedro Munoz, Rob Font, then lost to Marab, and then beat Jonathan Martinez. So that five,
And
you look at the talent he's still fighting.
aren't all those guys pretty much above him? Hold on. So
Definitely a few
Rob Font's at
like
9, Cheetos at
Cheeto.
7. Did he fight Jan? Did he beat Jan?
Um,
Piotr Jan?
I don't know where Munoz is anymore. I don't know if he's on.
Munoz is not ranked.
I figured, yeah, because I think he's lost the last couple,
But yeah, at least 2 or 3 of those guys are above him in the rankings.
and he's got wins against everyone but the champ. So it's a perfect. I'm not saying it could happen that way, but you just never know. If he
Dude,
makes one more run and Marab's still the champ, that's kind of a fun story there.
I'd love to see him and Sean O'Malley
Yeah, that'd be cool too, right?
or
Because
Davison
especially
Figueredo.
it's good. That one with O'Malley, I want that to happen in the next, like, say, like 6 to 12 months, though. I don't want a 40-year-old Aldo fighting him.
Yeah, yeah.
But if he gets a fight with him soon, if he climbs up quick, oh yeah, that'd be cool. But I just like you said, always root for Aldo. He's awesome, especially with the way his career was.
Yeah.
WEC, he was one of my favorites. He was
And
so tough to beat.
and that's the reason I bring up the whole how much longer you think he has, because I think us making a point of this is Aldo's last hurrah for a title run makes it, at least for us who have been a fan of his for so long, that much more special to watch. Um, just knowing that like we might only have a couple more years of this guy, and this is exciting for him, and I'll always, yeah, I can't bet against him. I can't. So I'm looking forward to that fight probably more than any other fight on the card. You know, like I just love Jose Aldo, man. And his last win against was it Martinez? You said,
Yeah, Jonathan Martinez
was awesome.
He's really good too.
And it was such a good fight. And they, it was in Brazil, right?
I believe so.
It was great. But let's move on. We got plenty of fights to talk about. Roman Dolidze against Kevin Holland. A 15. Kevin Holland just broke into the top 15, and he's trying to jump to number 10. What do you think? We got him obviously by submission, like you mentioned earlier, but how do you think the fight's going to go regardless of our bet?
So the reason why I kind of like I was like, once you mentioned it, I started thinking about how I think the fight's going to go, because I didn't put a ton of thought into it, honestly. I was just like, oh, that's a cool matchup. But then I started thinking about it, and then I'm like, all right, well, we talked about how high we've been on like Holland just because of just the route he's taken, like being so green, taking all these fights that like, he probably had no business even getting them at that point or taking them, because he was so new. But he's just gotten such a good rub off of that, and he's only getting better, and his submission skills are very underrated. So I kind of like where you went with that. Also paired with, I don't like how Dolidze, to me, like the eye test, he looks slow anyway. I know he came down middleweight. He just looks like he's a big guy, and he's also someone who does like to win by pressure and submissions, like ground, that type of. I could see him just not gassing, but he just doesn't respond well to a 3-round fight if it's tough pace. As far as his movement, I could see Holland getting him in something submission wise.
And Holland's really long too.
He could do things from angles that people would think they're safe, but yeah, no, I like. Let's see, let's kind of get crazy. I like him by a Darce choke, Jim.
Darce.
I feel like that's a good choke to get on someone when they're tired, because he's constantly going to be reaching out for takedowns, and if he can get.
I also like him by arm triangle.
I like that too, Jim.
But yeah, we'll see.
I just want a goddamn submission for us, Jim. Because we get that, that parlay's looking sweet.
Yeah.
That's our Hail Mary of the day. So
one thing I will add to it, and you already alluded to it earlier, but we talked about this before we hit record, was like, yeah, I agree. I think the route he took to get to where he's at right now, as weird as it seemed when it was happening, and he was taking all these random fights against big name guys and like under the bright lights and everything. Sure, he lost a lot of them. He probably lost most of them, like against Chimaev and all these other guys that were, big names. But I think all that experience of the guys that he fought in there rubbed off on him, and now I feel like he's just preparing himself for a run. And I think that's what he's trying to do now. I think he has more confidence than he's ever had. I think he's gotten so much better, leaps and bounds better than he was when he first started fighting. Because when he first started fighting and he was taking all these, they hyped him up so much. And I kind of don't like when UFC pushes a guy like so obvious, so blatantly, when he hasn't done anything to deserve those fights. So I kind of didn't like Kevin Holland at first, and he was talking.
And they don't care if you lose.
Yeah,
if you're just a flash in the pan, they don't care. That's his business. So
yeah, and obviously
you like when they make it. You like when they make it out, though, because he has. So
exactly, and I think he's definitely grown on me. I can't speak for everyone else, but I like his attitude now. I like he's just that personality. I think at first I thought he was just doing it for attention, and maybe he was a little bit. I don't know, but. He's turned into a really cool Kevin Holland that's gotten a lot better in the ring. And, I'm rooting for him. I want him to win. I don't not like him anymore. I like him a lot. So.
And I think more of that was you just not liking the UFC, what the UFC was doing.
Yeah.
More than Holland, but, I remember he had something funny because I think he's from, like, I think he grew up partially in, but I think he's from a part in California, I think. Remember right?
Yeah, I think so.
But either way, one of the funniest things I remember when he had that fight with Chimaev. I think like Chimaev like tried to corner him in the casino or whatever with a bunch of people, and like he said one of the funniest things because he said something like, I don't know how many people Chimaev had, but let's just say it was like 15. Like, yeah, like 15 dudes here. It's like I could call someone and have 100 in an hour. You better settle down with that shit
Yeah,
because he's like not far from Vegas. So
he's from Riverside, but he's fighting out of Fort
yeah,
Worth.
yeah, yeah. Because I think he grew up. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I think it's the
Riverside,
combination of the two.
California.
Okay, cool. I thought that was so funny. It's a that's one thing I don't like about Chimaev. I think he tries to play too much of that bully shit with other fighters and other fighters. There's so many fighters that are probably chomping at the bit for that fight, and they just won't. The UFC won't give him those guys most of the time.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
The only thing I didn't like about early on. That's why I like this Whitaker fight because I'll shut up if he cuts right through Whitaker like nothing. But I don't think that's happening. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I think Whitaker's going to hurt him. So that's what I think. But we'll see if that fight even happened.
We know who we're betting on next month.
Oh, Whitaker's the man, dude. I've always loved that dude.
Let's get on to the next.
You see in those eyes, dude. He's a very polite, very nice psycho.
Let's get on to the next fight. The opening bout of the main card. We have Kayla Harrison versus Ketlin Vieira, number 3 and number 2, and probably a title eliminator for whoever wins between Pena and Pennington.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
good
obviously
showcase.
Kayla is the heavy favorite. Right here on UFC.com, it says -900.
Damn. On the ESPN one I use, the ESPN app, it's 1150 right now. I don't know which one. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle, but damn. Either way, that's pretty big. Pretty big odds.
So, what do you think? I think everyone's thinking what you're thinking, probably.
Just a good showcase for a good, it's just gonna. I would think the UFC's probably looking like, all right, a perfect pay-per-view would be. It's not like they'd even have a favorite necessarily to win in the co-main, but in my opinion, it's probably Pena. But either way, you open the main card. Kayla Harrison looks great. She gets on the mic and says like, "I'm next," and that fight's just about to happen. I think that's a perfect way of how the card, and you still get Pereira and Roundtree at the end. So it's just, I think that's how, if the card goes that way, which I think it will. Ketlin Vieira is very tough, really good, but
yeah, she is.
I just think that she's so skilled, and she's only getting better. And I just think the reason why she's such a tough fight is I just think her overall defense has improved since she's been in PFL. She's so much smoother, so much like her footwork's so much better. Not to say she was flat-footed in I think it was PFL, right?
Yeah.
Not to say she was like flat-footed at all, but I just felt like she was very linear. Like all her movement was kind of forward, back, side, where now I just think it's just more fluid looking. I like the way I think she's with Mike Brown, right? He seems to just, yeah, he seems to really, he was a beast in his day, dude. In WEC, speaking of, remember him in WC? He was like kind of like he was like kind of a boogeyman because they were like, oh, don't get hit by him. He had so much power. I remember that.
Remember how much bigger his right arm was than his left arm?
Yeah.
It's crazy,
dude. Yeah.
Popeye.
Yeah, Roy Jones with his left. Yeah. Okay, so what? So yeah, I think I answered it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a real good showcase. I think she's going to pretty much dictate and dominate the fight, and I like a decision like we picked. So
yeah, I agree. Same thing.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some of the prelims. Obviously, the main prelim, which actually is another dark horse fight. Joaquin Buckley taking on Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson.
Is that your far and away top fight of the prelims?
Absolutely.
Okay, I figured it would be. I was just curious. It is for me too.
Or the Cesar Almeida fight. That one's going to be good. Or the Ryan Spano SP one. Those three are good.
I even like the old dogs to start the card.
Yep.
That's an honorable mention, Jim. Tim
Court.
Means and
Yep.
Court McGee is going to be. That should be. I would imagine that wouldn't be a boring fight. I don't think Tim Means is in many of those, so it'll be a good fight. I think. I like that one to start the card.
But how do you see Buckley and Wonderboy going? I know we have a bet on
Oh,
it.
it's going to be experience and just knowing like how great Wonderboy's been in his career versus just everything he can do versus the reaction time, the speed, just the youth. Like Buckley's so athletic and explosive. Um, and Wonderboy still deal with that because he's dealt with it in the past, but it's also reality is what is he like 41? I think I saw it today.
Something like that, yeah.
So either way, it's nothing against him and his skills. At that point, it all becomes just let's see what is Buckley. Buckley's 30, so it's just a 41-year-old guy against a 30-year-old, and they're both high level. But at what point does it become an issue where you're fighting these young guys? It's just a good example in a negative way. No offense to like Wonderboy would be if Wonderboy got Carlos Paredes. I don't like that fight at all.
No.
For Wonderboy, it's a terrible, terrible fight at this stage in his career. So, there's just it's not. It's just a tough thing because you watch these like legends kind of hang around and like he's still capable of beating most fighters in UFC at his weight, but the problem is he's always going to stay at the top because he's so good. So he's going to keep getting these tough fights. I'm just hoping it's not like too bad. I just don't like seeing those. Those aren't fun to me. Like watching like an older guy fighting someone who it just looked like it was too much of a just a speed difference or just a youth advantage. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you've seen that yet with Wonderboy. I just hate seeing it with guys that you love watching.
Yeah.
And then, it's Father Time, dude. Father Time is a real son of a bitch, Jim.
Well, honestly, I think this fight would be a good reference point for him to look back on and to tell whether or not it might be time to hang it up or not for him. I mean, the cool thing about Wonderboy in terms of like retiring, if he wanted to, and I'm not saying he should or shouldn't. I guess we'll see how he does tonight, and I bet he fights every fight. Every fight could be his last. He doesn't know. He's going one fight at a time. But the cool thing about him is like, you can tell he really loves teaching. He loves having that school and everything that where is he at? And like North Carolina, yeah.
One of the Carolinas, yeah.
And I don't know. He could ride off into the sunset whenever he wants, but I think Buckley would be a good test to see where he's at tonight and to see if he performs well, and then whatever the outcome is, that'd be a good reference point for him to see if it's time or not for him. So I think he's going to do well. He's very obviously he's very hard to hit. He's got a weird style for people that aren't used to it. And you know what I was just thinking? Buckley fights a lot like DDP. Do you agree with that? Like he he runs in sometimes with desperation and he like creates something out of that chaos a lot. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see. Yeah, kind of like he's just creating crashes all the time. He's just kind of crashing in almost.
Yeah, it's always high energy. He like almost never gets tired, and he just makes something out of the chaos and comes out on top.
The dangerous guy to blitz on, though. So it's
yeah, for sure.
That's cool too. That's a cool part of the matchup because you could easily see him sniping most guys because he's just so good. He just doesn't. But even like it'd be kind of cool, even if you think about it, as long as he still has like a will, he wants to still compete at his age, but maybe he can't compete with the top UFC level guys at that division anymore per se. But maybe like take a fight at Karate Combat. I don't know. That'd be cool with someone like that.
I could definitely see him in Karate Combat.
Right? He's perfect for it.
Yeah, I think he would love that too.
be kind of cool before it's too late. Like, if he takes a couple more UFC fights, the next thing you know, he's 42, 43. He'd be like, why would I? But at this stage, he might still be kind of cool too. Just something to think about. I thought about that the other day, and it'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I like that. I think that'd be perfect for him.
Or bare knuckle, either one, whatever
And for the organization, Karate
Yeah. Oh
Combat,
God, yeah.
to get a name
I
like
like
him.
that with Boston. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't
like
think
that.
I can't see Wonder Boy doing bare knuckle.
Oh, I was kidding. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
no, he's too.
But
He's like kid friendly.
too
He's too
many.
kid friendly
Yeah.
for bare
Plus,
knuckle.
too many weapons. Too many weapons you have to take away. His kicks are so good, and all the kicks he throws at the angles he throws them at, you can't do any of that. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no point. Also, but
All right, let's move
yeah,
on.
no, that's a.
Let's move on to the next fight. Actually, one we haven't even talked about yet, but it's a great matchup: Marina Rodriguez and Lucindo. I like Lucindo a lot, but Rodriguez has looked good in the past couple fights too.
She's good, but Lucindo should have been another money line pick of ours. I like her. She's only 22 too. She's very young.
But look at the fights that Rodriguez has had. She just lost to
Oh yeah.
Andrade. She won against Michelle Watterson. She lost to Jandy Roba. She lost to Lemos. She beat Mackenzie Dern. She's fought some killers.
She beat Xiao Nan. Xiao Nan.
Yep.
Yeah, she's really good too.
So she's been in there with some really great fighters, and but Lucindo, man, she's on her way up.
Absolutely, she's at 22, man. She's
Actually, I'd say
this is limit.
Lucindo's first test.
Also true.
Because actually, her last fight was against she has a different last name now. What was her name?
Kovalkiewicz.
Yeah, didn't she have a
Carolina?
Yeah.
No, that's the same one.
Oh,
that's the from Poland. Yeah, Kovalkiewicz. I think it's still
okay.
But she's had a tough run as of late too. She had some her own. Like if you look back in her career, that's what's kind of cool about her because she's won the last 4 out of 5. But if you look, she lost 5 straight. Fucking Kovalkiewicz for a stretch there. So it's kind of cool and that's what's cool about MMA, right? I figure if that happens in boxing, you have 5 losses in a row.
Yeah, that's it.
Probably didn't get calls anymore. But yeah, no, that she turned it around and won 4 straight, and then lost to Lucindo. But I like her a lot. I agree, Jim. We should have. Surprised we didn't do that one. That'd have been a good one.
Yeah, I think it's
to bet on.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Lucindo, but I also could see Rodriguez pulling something out. So
sure, especially by decision, she could just outpoint her.
Yeah, my confidence level is low on that one, but I do love Lucindo. I think I like her style. She's fun to watch, and I think this is, like I said, her first test in the division, and we'll see how she does. She's fighting number 6, so it could bring her up to the top 5 if she wins.
And speaking of confident on you're confident on the next one of who you think's going to win. Yeah. Seems like you like that one.
Alex Hernandez. We've talked about him before in his last fight with Jackson and Algio. He's very one-dimensional, kind of. But I think he's due for a win. He's a very solid fighter. I actually liked him. I liked watching him like 3 or 4 years ago. And I think he's great. He just he's on a downward spiral here, but I think he's due for a win. And with his energy and what he brings to the fight, I just assume he's going to knock him out. If he wins, he's going to knock him out. That's what I think.
I agree. I think I kind of like that way. That's why when we were thinking of, so the only thing about that is I kind of like the money line we took because Hubbard is he's one of those guys that's pretty durable too. So he doesn't get stopped a lot. via strikes. That's why I kind of like just Hernandez to win. But I don't know if I'd want to. It's one of those ones. It's like if you were like, oh, let's do Pena by a stoppage. I'm like, I don't even know if I like that. Just Raquel Pennington's so durable and
Yeah.
tough to finish. I just don't. I try to stay away from fighters that seem that way. And I do think Hubbard kind of has a bit of that. Like I know he's had submission losses on his career, I believe, but I don't think he's. Yeah, so I don't think he's been stopped. But yeah, he's been submitted a few times. But maybe Hernandez could maybe he benefit from going that route a little bit. I mean, he was subbed by Moicano, but who doesn't get subbed by Moicano in those
Yeah.
situations? So, um, yeah,
I could really see this being a showcase for Hernandez to bring him back into the conversation. That's just what's running through my head. It's kind of like a, I don't know, just a gut feeling of mine. I think he's going to have an outstanding finish.
especially as a pick 'em, it's a close fight. So if he
Yeah.
puts a stamp on it, it only makes it look better.
But you seem pretty confident about this next one, and I agree with you. We have
Pretty much, yeah,
Cesar
somewhat.
Almeida and Poteria.
It's more the forward pressure versus just the seasoned striker. I don't know if he might just get caught. I kind of like Almeida to win by a stop. I could see a stoppage happening, especially with the aggression forward pressure someone gives you. I feel like someone who like Pereira. You watch Pereira and they talk about him, and people they might look at the guy that's the scariest knockout guy and think he might be the guy to beat Pereira. I disagree because I think if that guy's aggressive and always coming forward, that just goes so much into what Pereira does well. I think maybe someone like Roundtree might be a better candidate. Just a good combination of speed and power. Yeah, it's all like you said. It's all just our speculation. It means nothing until it happens. But I kind of do like where you were going with that last one, and we'll see if that one's right with Almeida. But next one, speaking of, I also agree with you on that one. I like Span to win by a stoppage too
Yeah.
against OSP. Just, OSP's been another one who's just so tough and so durable, but I just feel like he's never been a quick guy, never been very fast. So he just doesn't get out of the way of things.
Yeah. Also,
And I think Span's a little quicker to the punch.
yeah. Also, I've seen OSP get knocked out a couple times, and it seems like he has no disrespect. Obviously, he's done a lot in his career, and I love watching OSP every time he fights. But it seems like he kind of has a glass chin, at least in the last couple. Actually, he looked good in the last fight, didn't he?
What was his last fight? Let's see.
I can't.
I think for him, it's more just
Oh well, that's split
it's
decision.
defense. I think too.
See, then he lost by knockout. He beat Shogun by split decision. He lost by knockout to Bozer. Lost by knockout to Hill. How did Menafield go? It doesn't tell me here. And Ben Rothwell. Then he got submitted a couple times. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he's had a bad streak of losses by stoppage, but I think it's more of a speed thing. I think when the guys they're so big like that, I just think that's the type of guy that maybe Pereira could lose to, say, or
Yeah.
just the guy that's a little quicker than you maybe anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely quicker than a guy like Strickland, who was a guy that Pereira was training with. So if you're getting different looks from Roundtree right out the gate, and you're expecting a different speed, I'm sure, like we said, Pereira and his camp are so prepared for things and so good at that. So you really don't see that happening. But the reality is still speed does kill sometimes. So
Yeah.
it could be one of those things. And I kind of think it's a similar thing with that fight with Span and OSP.
For sure.
Just his ability to get out of the way of those shots, I don't think was ever great to begin with. And he's in his 40s. He's like 40. So yeah, OSP, like you said, it's no disrespect. That dude's been he's been around and fought. It's crazy he fought Ben Rothwell to think about, but
Yeah.
the size difference there. When you said that, I was like, wait, what? He fought? I completely forgot about that fight. That's crazy.
And then
But
we got,
yeah, I can see speed being an issue. I think Span would win. I like that pick of yours by stoppage.
we got two more fights. Carla Esparza, it's her final fight in the UFC against Tisha Pennington. What do you think about that? That's a good fight too.
She's Esparza said it's her last one.
Yeah, because she just had a baby and
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
that's cool. Good for her, dude. That's awesome. I don't. This one, I kind of think Esparza might just win by grappling. She might just win a decision, especially knowing it's her last fight. She just wants to go out on the win. I think she's going to take a win. More so grappling based.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to stay on the feet the whole fight. What do you agree with that? You think more so Tisha Pennington?
I don't know. I have no idea. This one's a pick 'em for me.
It's a tough
I
one.
like both of them. That's a tough one. I don't know how it's going to go.
I would take, if I was betting on it, I would take Esparza to win. Not really sure how. Most likely decision.
You think she's going to ride it out easy? You don't think she's going to go out and create some fireworks on her last go?
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe they will, but I just think she's so good with her grappling. If she gets success with it, I think she's just going to keep going to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that fight too. Yeah.
You never know, though. They could go out and it could be the early fight of the night. It's very possible. Although I do like speaking of the prelim early fight night of the night, it's probably not going to hold up because it's the first fight, but I do like that opening one.
Tim Means and Court McGee.
I think that could be a lot of action in that one.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
The old dogs might get after it, Jim.
Nice. Well, dude, we got a hell of a card ahead of us tonight. I can't wait. I'm going to get something good to eat, I think. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to enjoy the fights. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you got to do, I feel like you got to do a pizza. So I'm going to probably get a pizza for the fights. And then, let's see. I might slow cook I might make like a beef stew again. We're thinking some type of stew. I could just do beef and potatoes. I could just do beef and rice, but I'm going to do something in the slow cooker, Jim, I think today. But I'm also going to call someone and help out. Get some buffalo wings and pizza too. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I just thought of this right now, so I don't know. I know the girlfriend wants to go to the morning market, so we'll see what's there. Maybe there'll be something good. Maybe something will jump out at me.
I like it. I like the idea. You just open into the possibilities.
Yeah, I'm just going to put the sail up and let the boat take me where it goes, It's always good to do that every now and then.
What are you going to eat tonight? You just look at something. I'm going to let the wind decide and just walk away. Yeah. You're going to be so confused the whole fucking day. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I'm going to let the smells. I'm going to follow the smells,
I'm a hound dog. Put you with a huge nose.
All right, well, we should wrap it up here. Thank you guys for listening to us. If you're this far, we appreciate your support. We have an Instagram and a YouTube channel, which you can listen to all of these episodes on our YouTube. And you can follow our stories and our posts, which I have to do today as well, on our Instagram. You can follow that at Pinnacle_combat. And we got some football tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to, even though my fantasy team's trash.
All right, Jim. It's early. Early. There's still time for the Cincinnati clam hammer.
But Dan, thank you for doing this as well as always. It's always great to talk to you. I hope you have a good weekend.
You too, man. Thank you. Always fun. Always good. Can't wait. I'm gonna make the picks now. We'll jump on there and make the picks, and I'll send them your way. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And we'll have to do another one of these maybe tomorrow at some point if there's time before football or somewhere in between or whatever for a post episode.
Sounds good. Yeah, whenever you can, we'll figure it out. But could do sometime Sunday and in between football. We could always do after work Monday. Whatever works for you.
Okay, sounds good. And
dude.
We'll see you guys tomorrow or soon. All right. Thanks for listening.
Enjoy the hostilities, as Robin Black says. I like that one.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.